There is a truth most people refuse to face. Your life is not shaped only by your circumstances, your money, or where you started. It is shaped by the way you interpret what happens to you. Your mindset is the silent operating system behind every decision, every reaction, and every step you take. When your inner world is filled with fear, doubt, and excuses, even an opportunity standing directly in front of you can look like a threat. When your mind keeps repeating that you are not talented enough, not fortunate enough, or not strong enough, you eventually begin to live as though those thoughts were facts. What enters the mind will eventually appear in your actions. You cannot feed yourself weakness every day and expect to build a powerful life. Every lasting change in the outer world begins with a revolution within. Before you change your job, your environment, or your goals, you must change the way you speak to yourself. Listen carefully to the sentences you repeat when life becomes difficult. I cannot do this. I do not have enough time. I do not have the right conditions. I am not as lucky as other people. These words may sound harmless, but every time you repeat them, you surrender another part of your power to your circumstances. You close the door before you have even tried to open it. A strong person is not someone who never feels fear. A strong person is someone who refuses to let fear choose the direction. A mature person is not someone who already has every answer. A mature person is someone who knows how to ask a better question. Instead of saying, I cannot do this, ask, how can I make this possible? Instead of asking why this is happening to me, ask what this experience is trying to teach me. Instead of blaming your past, ask what you can do today to create a different future. One powerful question can open a door that years of excuses have kept closed. Taking responsibility does not mean blaming yourself for everything that has happened. It means accepting that from this moment forward, your response belongs to you. You may not control what other people say, but you control whether their words are allowed to poison your mind. You may not control failure, but you control whether it becomes a reason to stop or a lesson that makes you wiser. The moment you stop blaming, you reclaim your power. A person who blames others must wait for others to change. A person who takes responsibility can begin immediately. A new mindset is not created by one emotional moment of inspiration. It is forged through daily awareness. When a weak thought appears, you must recognize it before it becomes a weak action. When your mind tells you to delay, answer it with one small step. When you feel yourself being pulled back toward old habits, remember that the old version of you cannot lead you into a new life. Guard your mind the way a warrior guards the entrance to a fortress. Not every word deserves to enter. Not every opinion deserves to be carried. Not every fear deserves to be believed. You gradually become what you repeat in silence. Repeat the truth that you can learn, you can change, you can begin again, and you can become stronger. Do not wait until you completely believe in yourself before you act. Act first, and let your actions create evidence for belief. One right decision today will make the next decision easier tomorrow. Better choices, repeated long enough, will build a different person. The first battle is not fought against the outside world. It is fought inside your own mind. When you learn to govern that inner world, you begin to govern your life. And once the mind has been redirected, the next step is to shape the daily actions that will turn that new way of thinking into a new way of living. Once the mind has been redirected, The next step is to shape the daily actions that will turn that new way of thinking into a new way of living. A powerful mindset without a disciplined routine is only an intention. It may inspire you for a moment, but it cannot carry you through months of resistance, uncertainty, and fatigue. Your future is not built during rare moments of greatness. It is built during ordinary mornings, quiet afternoons, and difficult evenings when no one is watching. It is built by what you repeat. Every habit is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you rise when you want to stay in bed. Every time you work when distraction calls your name. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen a new identity. Discipline is not a prison. Discipline is the structure that protects your freedom from your weakest impulses. Without structure, your mood becomes your master. You work when you feel inspired. You rest when you feel uncomfortable, and you abandon your goals whenever life becomes inconvenient. This is how potential slowly disappears. Not through one great failure, but through hundreds of small surrenders. Your routine reveals what you truly value. You may say that your health matters, but your schedule tells the truth. You may say that your purpose matters, but your daily choices reveal whether it is a priority or only a wish. The first battlefield is the morning. The way you begin the day influences the way you meet everything that follows. If the first thing you do is reach for your phone, you allow the outside world to enter your mind before you have chosen your own direction. Message, opinion, noise, and comparison begin shaping your state before your feet touch the ground. Do not begin the day by giving your attention away. Rise with intention, sit in silence, breathe deeply. Remember what you are building. Move your body, read something that strengthens your mind. Decide which action matters most. Then begin before doubt has time to negotiate. The hardest task should not be pushed to the end of the day, where your energy is weaker and your excuses are stronger. Face it early. When you complete something difficult before comfort has taken control, you create momentum. Momentum changes your posture. It sharpens your focus. It proves that you can act without waiting for perfect conditions. Many people search for a dramatic breakthrough, but transformation rarely arrives that way. It comes through repetition. One focused hour does not change a life, but one focused hour repeated for years can. One healthy meal does not rebuild the body, but thousands of disciplined choices will. One page does not make you wise, but the habit of reading every day can reshape the way you see the world. Small actions appear insignificant only because their results are delayed. A seed does not reveal its strength the day it is planted. It grows beneath the surface before anyone can see it. Your habits work the same way. For a long time, the effort may feel invisible. You may train without seeing change. You may study without feeling smarter. You may work without receiving recognition. This is where most people stop. They mistake the absence of immediate results for the absence of progress. But discipline teaches patience. It asks you to trust the process before the reward becomes visible. Build routines that remain standing when motivation disappears. Prepare your environment so the right action becomes easier. Remove distractions before they test your willpower. Place your tools where you can see them. Decide your schedule before emotion enters the conversation. Do not depend on memory, excitement, or good intentions. Create systems that guide you when your energy is low. There will be days when you cannot give everything. On those days, do not disappear. Reduce the intensity, but protect the habit. Read 1 page, walk for 10 minutes, write 1 paragraph, complete 1 meaningful task. The goal is not perfection. The goal is continuity. A routine becomes powerful when it survives difficult days. Each time you return, you teach yourself that discomfort cannot remove you from your path. Slowly, your actions become your character. Your character becomes your direction. Your direction becomes your destiny. But even the strongest routine can be weakened by the wrong environment. And the next step is to examine the people whose voices, habits, and energy are shaping the person you're trying to become. But even the strongest routine can be weakened by the wrong environment. And the next step is to examine the people whose voices, habits, and energy are shaping the person you are trying to become. You do not grow in isolation from influence. Every conversation leaves something behind. Every relationship either strengthens your direction or slowly pulls you away from it. The people around you do not need to command your life to affect it. Their standards, fears, excuses, and expectations enter your mind through repetition. Spend enough time with people who complain, and frustration begins to feel normal. Stay close to people who mock ambition. And soon you may begin hiding your goals to avoid making them uncomfortable. Listen long enough to those who fear change, and their fear may start speaking through your own voice. This is why choosing your circle is not arrogance. It is responsibility. You cannot build a disciplined life while constantly protecting relationships that reward your weakness. Some people only feel comfortable with the version of you that asks for less, dreams smaller, and never challenges the familiar order. When you begin to grow, they may call you different. They may say you have changed. They may remind you of old failures, question your intentions, or make your progress sound foolish. Understand what is happening. Your growth is disturbing the agreement that kept everyone comfortable. Your change forces others to look at what they have avoided within themselves. Not every criticism is wisdom. Sometimes it is fear wearing the mask of concern. Sometimes it is envy pretending to be honesty. Sometimes it is another person asking you to remain small so they do not have to confront their own stagnation. This does not mean you should hate them. Hatred keeps you emotionally tied to the very people you are trying to outgrow. Distance can be calm. Boundaries can be respectful. Silence can be an act of wisdom. You do not need a dramatic argument to protect your future. You do not need to explain every decision to people committed to misunderstanding you. Sometimes the strongest choice is to step back, reduce access, and let your actions speak. Ask yourself how you feel after spending time with certain people. Do you feel clearer or more confused? Do you feel encouraged or drained? Do you feel challenged to grow or pressured to return to old habits? Your body often recognizes what your mind tries to excuse. Pay attention to the heaviness, the tension, the exhaustion that follows certain interactions. Energy is information. Protecting it is not selfish when that energy is needed to build your life. Serve your purpose and become someone you respect. At the same time, do not search only for people who agree with you. Agreement can be comforting, but growth requires challenge. Choose people who tell you the truth without humiliating you. Choose people whose discipline makes your excuses uncomfortable. Choose people who celebrate your progress without competing with it. Choose people who have the courage to correct you, the humility to keep learning, and the strength to remain steady when life becomes difficult. Your circle should not only make you feel accepted, It should make you feel accountable. It should remind you of the standard you claimed when your motivation was high. It should bring out your courage, not your performance. And if you cannot yet find such people, do not use that absence as an excuse to remain surrounded by those who weaken you. Learn to walk alone for a season. Read the words of disciplined minds. Listen to voices that sharpen your thinking. Build an inner circle from books, principles, and examples until real relationships begin to match the level you are creating. Solitude is often safer than constant exposure to people who poison your direction. Remember that you are also part of someone else's environment. Do not demand excellence from your circle while bringing excuses, jealousy, and inconsistency into it. Become the kind of person you hope to meet. Bring honesty, bring effort, bring loyalty, bring standards. Healthy relationships are not built on need, control, or constant validation. They are built when strong individuals choose to support each other without abandoning themselves. As you remove what drags you down and move closer to what lifts you higher, you will begin to notice another truth. Even with the right mindset, the right routine, and the right people, there will still be days when you do not feel ready. That is when you must stop waiting for motivation and allow discipline to take command, even with the right mindset, the right routine, and the right people. There will still be days when you do not feel ready. That is when you must stop waiting for motivation and allow discipline to take command. Motivation is useful, but it is unreliable. It rises when conditions are easy, then disappears when the work becomes repetitive, painful, or uncertain. If your progress depends on how you feel, your future will always be controlled by emotions that change from one hour to the next. Some mornings you will feel powerful. Some mornings you will feel empty. Some days the goal will seem close. Other days it will feel meaningless. Your standard cannot move every time your mood moves. Feelings are temporary, but the consequences of your choices remain. This is why disciplined people do not ask themselves whether they feel like acting. They ask what the moment requires. When the alarm sounds, they do not begin a debate with comfort. When the work becomes difficult, they do not wait for inspiration to return. They move because they made a decision before weakness entered the room. The more often you negotiate with yourself, the more skilled your mind becomes at producing excuses. 5 more minutes becomes 30. One missed session becomes a broken week. One delay becomes a pattern. The danger is rarely in one decision. The danger is in what that decision teaches you about your own word. Every time you break a promise to yourself, trust weakens. Every time you keep one, even when no one sees it, trust grows. Confidence is not created by thinking positively. It is created by evidence. You become confident when you prove that you can rely on yourself under pressure. Action comes first. Belief follows. Momentum comes after movement, not before it. Many people wait to feel prepared, but readiness is often the result of beginning. The first step may feel heavy. The first repetition may feel awkward. The first hour may feel slow. Continue anyway. Resistance is strongest at the entrance. Once you move, the mind begins to adjust. The body follows. The task becomes clearer. The fear loses some of its authority. This is why you must learn to appear even when you have only half of your usual energy. You do not need to perform perfectly every day. You need to remain present. On strong days, Give everything on difficult days. Protect the standard. Do what you can without abandoning who you have chosen to become. A disciplined person is not someone who never feels tired. It is someone who understands that tiredness does not always mean stop. Sometimes tiredness means slow down. Sometimes it means recover. Sometimes it means continue with less intensity. Wisdom is knowing the difference between rest and surrender. Rest prepares you to return. Surrender gives comfort permission to rewrite your future. Be honest with yourself. There are moments when your body needs recovery, and there are moments when your mind is simply resisting discomfort. Do not confuse the two. Listen carefully, but do not obey every feeling. Your emotions are visitors. They may enter, but they should not rule the house. Discipline is the quiet authority that remains when excitement has left. It does not shout. It does not need applause. It simply returns to the work. This is how ordinary days become extraordinary results. Not through constant intensity, but through repeated obedience to a chosen direction. Create rules before temptation arrives. Decide when you will wake, when you will train, when you will work, and when you will rest. The decision made in clarity must guide you when weakness speaks. Remove unnecessary choices. Prepare your clothes. Set out your tools. Write down the first task. Make discipline easier to begin and distraction harder to reach. You are not trying to become a machine. You are training yourself to become someone whose actions are not controlled by temporary emotion. The goal is not to eliminate feeling. The goal is to stop allowing feeling to cancel commitment. Each time you act without motivation, you strengthen a part of yourself that cannot be purchased, borrowed, or faked. You build self-respect. You build endurance. You build identity. Eventually, discipline no longer feels like punishment. It becomes proof that your future matters more than your comfort. And once you learn to move without waiting for motivation, the next challenge is to discover how far you can go when you stop mistaking discomfort for your true limit. And once you learn to move without waiting for motivation, the next challenge is to discover how far you can go when you stop mistaking discomfort for your true limit. Most people do not stop because they have reached the end of their strength. They stop because the effort begins to feel unfamiliar, painful, or inconvenient. The mind interprets discomfort as danger, then creates reasons to retreat. It tells you that you have done enough. It tells you that tomorrow will be better. It tells you that one more step will not matter. But the life you want is often hidden behind the moment when your mind asks you to quit. Comfort is not always peace. Sometimes comfort is a cage built from repeated avoidance. It feels safe because it is familiar. But familiarity does not mean growth. A person can remain comfortable for years while becoming weaker, smaller, and more afraid. The body loses strength when it is never challenged. The mind loses sharpness when it is never tested. Courage disappears when it is never required. Everything within you that is meant to grow must meet resistance. Muscles strengthen because they are placed under tension. Skill develops because mistakes are faced and corrected. Character is formed because hardship demands a response. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is a teacher that reveals where you are still fragile. It shows